present. We had a chance to look over the agenda, any changes need made. We can still have a quick discussion on that Mike brought up. May do less follow-up on the budget for now. So
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
okay. Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Approval of minutes for both the March meeting and the April budget meeting. That Al provided. Any changes need to be made?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, so here's one. So yeah, before he gets too far in, you need to.
Hey, how are you?
How you doing? Good, Brian. How are you?
Good, I gotta turn down the computer so I don't get an echo.
Okay. So like I said, this is, we gotta be super fast because, yeah, we just found out, just kind of with everything going on, that, there's some overlapping in the, schedule for the meeting room, so we need to be out up here in 30 minutes or less. So what we have is the, first of all, Mark is going to need to speak with you, just some updates on some of the guidance that's come down from the state, some of the updates from our governor. So I don't get too far into all the handout, everything he sent, which is appreciated for sure. But is there anything you'd like to say briefly? Regarding
Well, hello everyone, and thanks for giving time. No, I'm just trying to be as proactive as possible, and creative execution. Of course, the number one thing that's gonna, of course, make a difference is the safety and the protocols that are gonna be handed down through the state, which are completely out of our control. But as everyone has been impacted, so have we. I have listed even on this plan, Mother Road sodas, and I just got notice at the beginning of the week, and I'll let you know that, Larry, already, but they've had to back out, you know, even after this whole plan was put together, just because of circumstances and the effective, or the after effect of everything that's going on. So, again, our goal, no matter what, at any level, is to create some kind of live broadcast, and continue to promote and utilize this year as, you know, a kickoff promotion into next year. You guys know how much I love Tucumcari, and I am working here as hard as I possibly can on trying to find safe, creative, positive solutions to something that, you know, has affected all of us.
Well, it's greatly appreciated. I know you do a lot of work, you know, to try and come up with a scaled back version. We're going to carry forward. Mark will be getting in touch with you at some point this morning.
Immediately following this
Okay,
PS time.
right after the meeting. So he's going to give you some updates in regards to what the latest from our state government, and then we'll kind of carry forward from there. And then once you talk to Mark, if you want to give me a call, we can catch up with. But he'll be calling you. Is that about 10:30 or close to that, he can give you a call. Are you available?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay.
I'm inside the studio all day today, so that's great.
Okay. So he'll do that, and we're gonna carry on with the agenda. We got a couple more things to get through, but, on behalf of the Lodgers Tax Board, we do appreciate all the work that's, went into this plan, and, you know, I show my support through the letter, of course, but we're all on board, just, hoping this, regardless what happens this year, that this comes back, you know, keep going through the year, so thank you for all your work, Ron, thank you.
No, absolutely. Thank you, everyone, and please reach out if you have any questions.
All right, will do. All right, take care.
Yes, thanks.
All right, so, so the recommendation for the additional funding for Rock and Route 66, we can take action on the basis that it's happening, since that has not been officially declared one way or the other. And then that can be taken to the commission once more information is available. But the idea was the facts behind, or the history behind this is that last year when we were doing our budget for the current fiscal year, we approved Route 66 requested 23.5. We granted 20,000. We were voting to fund the additional 3,500 based on its availability, and that would come out of promotional, I think, at this point. But that's provided that the event happens.
I mean, as a good gesture, we can vote on it, and even though we already know what's going on.
Let's,
I mean,
well, like I said, it's a formality at this point, but it's on the agenda. And,
I make a motion to award them the $3,500 if it's gonna go on this year.
is there a second? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Good, 10:07. Mike brought up this, for discussion, maybe to take on to the commission, city manager. And I've noticed this too, surrounding a guest that flew in, picked him up and took him back to the airport about a week and a half ago, and noticed the same thing, but there is an abundance of RVs in the Kmart parking lot. It's become kind of a free overnight parking for those folks. And the concern, of course, is the loss of business to the RV parks themselves, but also a substantial loss of lodgers tax money coming in at a time that we desperately need both business for our local businesses as well as lodgers tax. So Mike, you want to say more?
Sure. We opened our park 2 years ago, and we've noticed that people are camping in the Kmart parking lot. And so just out of curiosity, I decided last month to do a count to see how many people were parking in the lot. And this is very conservative because I usually go out and check about 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night. And there were 51 campers in April camped in the parking lot. It's probably a bit more because people come in later in the day or later in the evening. So I did an average cost of $30 per stay, which equated to $1,530 in lost revenue. So $76 would be lodgers tax, $128 would be just state tax. So it's not that much, but it is there. And so I think it's worth looking at, and I can continue to monitor it on a month-to-month basis just to see what it is. But our park stays busy for 10 months a year. We only slow down from Thanksgiving to about middle of January. So I think the numbers are going to be pretty consistent for at least 10 months. So if y'all think it's a worthwhile endeavor, I'll just continue to count it and see what the reflection is on both state and lodgers tax and business.
I think that's a good point, because we are missing out on lodgers tax. The only problem, as I see as citizen is, that's private property. I don't know if, Tom can,
Well, correct me if I'm
unless there's an
wrong.
ordinance, if we can.
Well, there's not an ordinance. Now, I don't know if the sign says no RVs, but it does say no truck parking. And
There's
trucks
no-
are parking there too.
There's no sign that says.
And I feel your pain because where I have a problem is I can see all the crap that's thrown out of the trucks, and I don't know about the RVs, but I was a trucker at one time and I've seen some pretty nasty truckers. Because it's not mowed down within 10 feet of there, it's easy for them to dump their bottles and everything else over there. But it is private property, and I don't know, I know it says no truck parking, but I don't know if that private citizen like Kmart, if Kmart was gonna call the police department to have people move, or if the police department can go in there on their own and have them move. Since there is a no parking, no truck parking, I don't know how that would work.
My assumption, the conversation would have to start from the property owner. We do have an ordinance in regards to no overnight camping for parks, because that's, like you said, public property versus private. I think what would be worthwhile is reaching out to the property owner and asking him and telling him the situation that's going on. I'm assuming there's some kind of liability. They don't want people on their property either. And maybe we could start that conversation and have our police enforcement go enforce that if that's what the property owner chooses to do. So I'm assuming they have no clue, as the property owner has no clue that this is going on. I'm sure they wouldn't really appreciate it either.
I have a feeling the number is gonna grow because April was a very slow month, obviously, so I think that's a very, 51 month that we saw very little traffic.
That's why I think it's hard.
It's gonna grow substantially in the summer. Okay, and I do believe property sold, at some point or not, do we not know? Okay,
On the ordinance.
so, was that something the city can, someone, the city can find out, follow up with the owner?
Would you like me to follow up with the owner? I've had conversations with them.
It's up to you.
Okay,
I'll reach out to the owner.
great. Well, that is a great point to bring up.
That is very good.
Okay, lodger's tax financial report for April.
Good morning. Today's I'll get a, right there on the table.
You get one, Lyle?
So I'll give.
Sorry, Nat?
Yes. Would you?
No?
Or no, wait, Matt.
I can get a copy from Todd's.
Okay, I'll get a copy for you afterwards.
See it.
Okay.
So, for the month of April, we had a total of $55,518.89 turned in on lodger's tax. I believe there was 4 or 5 lodgers that did not pay for the month of March. We really had no other kind of bills besides the normal, you know, the transfer to debt service, the transfer to capital on the executive side. So on the promotional side, there was a reimbursement of $700, and I believe that was for the billboard that we get from that grant, right? And then, so they received, promotional side received $27,759.45. And we paid out the invoices to Rawhide Days for $2,135.90. We paid out $5,000 to Rock and Route 66. Then again, the monthly payment to the Chamber, to Lamar, Vista, and the Convention Center. So looking at your averages, or where we would expect you to be, would be at 80%. We're at 82.06% right now. Before I put that number in of the 55,519, the anticipated was 55,508 for the month of April, what we would have projected you guys to be at. And again, that's with 4 lodgers not paying for the month of April.
That's really not bad considering
Well-
what's been going on. I know it's for the month of March.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Yeah, because I still had a good March. even, because I think the orders didn't take effect till towards the end of the month.
Right.
And, so the total doesn't count folks like me that deferred payment, so
Right.
that's still counting, okay.
Right.
So that's a plus two, so there's actually more than what's showing.
Exactly.
Just a few of us opted to defer payments.
I believe one of them got dropped in the wrong Dropbox or something. There was some kind of confusion there. They dropped it out here in the blue post office box instead of in ours, so,
Oh, wow.
but they're fixing that. So, that one, they were intending to pay.
Okay. So I think what we're probably seeing more effect next month.
Probably.
All, return in for April, because April was pretty awful. Okay. Any questions, Michelle? All right. Thank you very much. So we'll skip. I don't know, was there any immediate discussion that needs to happen considering regarding the budget projection that we made? I think we're probably okay to wait. Especially the decisions that are,
I mean, I know it was posted on Facebook that, Rattler Reunion's canceled, so that's saving 400,000 from us for next year. And I guess according to the Washington City Commission, they voted 3,000 for the chamber. 3,000, I think. Didn't Chris make the motion for 3,000?
and that was out of executive. Or is that promotion?
It was up.
It was out promotion, okay. All right.
So I mean,
I think a lot more dust will settle by next month. We'll take a closer look at what we're doing for next fiscal year.
So going along with what Matt just said, on the very last column where it says balance favorable, so those amounts, like for example, Rawhide Days has $8,665 and that event got canceled. So yes, that would roll into your cash at the end of June. So I'm assuming, because Columbus Club is not having their event, right?
right,
Fired Up, they're done. And then, so like you're saying, the Rattler Reunion, yes, that would go over there also. Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's the.
Yeah. So no, I'm sorry, Rattler Reunion's already paid. So yes, so then your Rockin' Route on the 6-6, I don't know what's happening with that one. And then, so those amounts that are sitting here for all those events that are being canceled would roll into the cash at the end of June.
Okay. So we should have. So that will help us with the coming fiscal year for sure, if there is continued effect. Pandemic, okay. That's what I'm thinking. I think a little more of the dust will settle by next month, and we have a lot better idea of what's happening going into the new fiscal year. Okay. City manager's report, Mark.
Alrighty, I'll try to keep it short. I don't know if it'll be sweet, but it's gonna be short. So unfortunately, on Monday, I received an email from the Municipal League that shows the governor's plan to reopen things. And right now, we're within what's called the preparation phase. That started May 1st, that goes through May 15th. And limited things were released to reopen golf courses, dog groomers and veterinarians, etc. So with that in mind, the first phase, just to let you all know, which is going to start mid-May, only allows a few more things to open. So right now they're allowing, according to this, and this isn't final, this is just the projections, all retailers may operate according to retail COVID safe practices at 20% fire code occupancy. Non-essential businesses generally may operate according to the COVID safe practices at up to 50% of pre-crisis staffing levels. Dine-in services at restaurants and bars permitted according to the COVID safe practices at 50%. No live music associated with the bars and restaurants. Gyms and salons can operate according to the COVID safe practices. And that's what the COVID safe practices are. I'm not sure. That'll probably be determined by the governor. Hotels permitted to operate according to the COVID safe practices at up to full capacity. Houses of worship can operate according to the COVID safe practices at capacity to be determined. And things that still remain restricted are theaters, casinos. Instructions to stay home remains in place for those that are vulnerable. Visits to long-term care and other congregate care facilities restricted as per current public health order. Mass gatherings will still be restricted, including concerts, events, and social gatherings. The 14-day quarantine orders will still remain in place for out-of-state airport travels. And vacation rentals prohibited to out-of-state residents. So that's just mid-May. Now we're looking at early June. I'm going to hit the high points here, what are pertinent to this, because I know we're short on time. Still no mass gatherings, concert, or events. That's what's pertinent to us. We look at projections for July 1st. As of early July, still no mass gatherings larger than 100 people. Still prohibited, no large festivals or fairs. So what I'm trying to get at is, much as Tucumcari and the surrounding area, the state of New Mexico, everybody needs this event to happen at the end of June. Based on these projections, this is base case scenario, and the estimated end for phase 3, which still prohibits large festivals, fairs, gatherings of more than 100 people, the estimated end is unknown. So that may be August, it may be September, we don't know. So as much as I want this festival to take place, my recommendation at this time, and I'll talk to Brian offline, would be cancel everything at this point, not incur any other costs, and roll that money over into cash for next year, and start really planning for next year's festival. But anything up to that point, I would not recommend moving forward with it at this point, just based on the current rollout from the governor.
I have a question. I'm a little confused with the hotel. So are we allowed to go to full capacity?
Middle of the month.
Middle of the month is what it's saying right now, and that's not set in stone. That's best case scenario. This is stating if the governor's happy and everybody practices their social distancing, and she feels it's okay, mid-May would be the soonest that would be allowed. And it does state full capacity, but again, this isn't the official order. This is the plan to reopen, and this is best case scenario. So right now, I'm not very optimistic about how things would go by the end of June.
Guess I can't karaoke at home anymore.
And no live music. That's good for your wife.
That's why I was just hoping to come to some understanding now before this goes to, any further. So much work is went into the scaled back version. It's, so we'll leave you to speak with Brian and work all that out. Thank you for clarifying all that. Do you have anything else, or is that?
No, sir, that's it. That's just my recommendation to the board or even to the commission moving forward. Like I said, I'll speak with Brian offline, but to avoid further costs incurred and not have an event, I think it's smart fiscally to stop at this point.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Items from citizens, which there's no way for anybody to call in or anything. Okay. Items from the city of Tucumcari, Todd.
You guys don't have an easy job right about now. I've been in contact with the owners, and I agree with you. I think it's bad, and I don't even know for sure if it's just people, because I've noticed a lot of trucks, but just recently I did notice a lot of RVs, and I'd like to think that maybe it's just that they're afraid to go check in because they don't know. Every state's been different on their lodging restrictions, and so I'd like to think maybe that's what it is. But either way, everybody that's staying in that parking lot is leaving it looking like we've had complaints on that before. So I got a solution, but I don't think it's legal. But anyway. And that's to put up a little gate with a bar, and at a certain time you close it, and if you're inside of it, you're stuck there till somebody opens it the next day. But anyway, we can't do that because it's not the city's property. But, I'll check on that, and, with everything else, I'm trying to help, through the governor right now, through the lieutenant governor, on getting a proposal to help some of the, especially the lodgers and some of these other small businesses that have been forced to operate below their bottom line. So keep your fingers crossed. I'm sending the proposal in today to the lieutenant governor, so him and I have been talking about it. So other than that, y'all guys, I know y'all have the toughest job right now. Keep your heads up and let's get through this together.
That's greatly appreciated. Sure. All right. Items from the board. One thing I had was that, I have found out through solid, authority, I believe that, and this wasn't made clear to the lodgers when this, when the first order, well, when any of the orders have come through, but my understanding, this is coming from the state and the New Mexico Hospitality Association, I believe that's what they're called. But, the maximum occupancy is based on people, not rooms. I don't know how that works for RV parks, but, and there was questions about that in the beginning, and, it was never clarified, but, I have a very good authority from friends of mine that own a motel in another town here in the state that have researched it, spoken with several people. I don't know if you have connections, Mark, in any state to verify, but I'm running on that assumption at this point, because we've actually seen a pretty substantial increase in traffic in the past week. And, the idea of turning people away at this point when we don't absolutely have to is, I think, something we all want to be able to do. So just, so the way that would work, for those that are listening, I don't know how to get the word out with this without just calling every hotel, but, my understanding is that it's based on people. So the number of beds you have and the people that can fit into those beds. So a double would be 4 people, a king 2. You add up your rooms, multiply by the number of people, and you come up with a number. So for mine, I have 14 rooms. So that would be, it would sleep 40 people. So I can have 10 people in my motel, which is, for me, that's a great thing, because instead of just 4 rooms, if it's a single person staying in a room, that's more rooms I can sell. So it makes a difference. So if anybody wants to individually verify, but I feel very confident that's that's actually been the case since this began. That's all I have on that. Anybody else? On the board? Mike?
I'd have a lot to say about it, but it wouldn't be politically correct, so I'll leave it alone right now.
I think last month we had a great meeting with the budget. The city manager, every time we asked for a question, he answered it, but he didn't, it wasn't like a hostile, not a hostile, I don't want to use the word hostile, but he answered our questions. He didn't try to, make us pick one way or the other on these events, like we were in the past. And I appreciate Mark by helping us last month.
Agree with that. Good. Milo?
As for the RV parks, I've worked at a truck stop here in this town. When their parking lots up there get full, and this is going back at least 10 years, they would proceed down to Kmart's parking lot. Now, there's a possibility, and I don't know if you've thought about it, but if you were to paint a sign of your RV park, and if you wanted to park it up there by my motel, you're welcome to do it. And it might draw people down there.
I just want to thank you and the city of Lincoln Prairie for their cooperation and helping lodgers with the first payment. That's helped us out quite a bit. That's all I have to do.
All right. One more quick thing I would add too, I forgot. A lot of politicians, national, state, I think we've heard, we're all in this together to where, it doesn't have meaning anymore because in some ways, yeah, we're all in it together, but really as a community is where we're truly all in it, together. So for those listening, I've just said, city just want to encourage folks to show support, not to do anything but that. Well, I'll leave it with that. Just support your fellow business owners, support the community. Don't be the one who's trying to make trouble. And everyone needs to be held accountable if they're truly doing something out of order. But I think it's more important that we all do work together and support each other through however long this continues to go on. The stories I've heard are not encouraging. I think most people are doing the right thing. I just think we have a few that are not. I do encourage support. Our next meeting is scheduled for June 3rd, 10 o'clock a.m. Everyone okay with that date? Okay. We'll leave with that. And we have a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All right, all in favor? Thank you very much, everyone, for.